and we're going to be bringing you some information on how characters can move around the map, how the map looks, what's going on with the map, uh, all those good things. So Cody did some work last night.
Hello.
Hey, this is Cody. He's our concept artist. He's a pretty cool cat.
Meow.
Yeah. So why don't you give us a little background into what you did,
Little background on what?
into what you did,
On
or
what?
yeah.
Sure. Okay. So I put everything that I did today in a folder on the drive. I think it's called like
Maps for meeting.
Maps for Meeting. Yeah.
Yes.
And basically just trying to during last night's meeting we tried to decide how many layers of maps we were going to have. Um, we were going to have like a world map, and then how deep does our rabbit hole go, and how to represent that. Um, so I imagine the most whenever someone's traveling around on the map, they're going to be seeing our second layer, or the C zone, which is the regional maps, the most. So that's what I spent a lot of time on today. I spent a little bit of time on mostly everything, but yeah, that's what I did today, and I got most of what we talked about represented in a visual format
Good.
for us to talk about it. Yeah.
Good. I'm very excited to look through these and discuss them further. So with us today as well, we have our writer David, and his mic's being a little wonky, echoey. But let's see, David, if you unmute and you're the only one talking, I wonder if it echoes.
Oh, hello, stream. Can you hear me?
Yes.
It's me, David.
Okay, so it does echo for the rest of us, but when you want to discuss something, just send a ping in the Skype and we'll all get quiet.
All right.
All right, so what we came to talk to you guys about today, and I guess to discuss on stream about today, um, is how these maps, or this large map idea, the world map, will be represented to the player without inundating them with way too much information. Um, and we came up with a couple of different solutions for that, but before we go into those solutions and how they're designed, first we need to get the documentation out of the way. So, as Cody has listed here, this big landmass is the world map. And I don't think this is going to be represented to the player at all, except for in a menu or something. Basically, it'll be a click away, and maybe while you're looking at your skills, it'll be on the left side of the screen, and you can see all the areas together. Um, B are the class zones. Cody's did a good job of representing it here. Basically, what that means is, um, let's say I am playing as the Cavalier, and I have this whole huge landmass that my story could be taking place on. Now, as Cody's represented on this section, the human zone only extends throughout this area, and if in the demo we're trying to limit the amount of resources that we have to represent to the player, whether that's animations for other races or otherwise, um, what that's going to mean is that the Cavalier is going to be able to roam in this area, um, but we need to figure out how far his narrative takes him, and all of that zone, all of that area that he can go through, will be represented as B. Um, it's basically the next subdivision down of the world map. And oh, okay, so the image just stays on the screen until I click out. It's pretty cool. So C is class zones 2, and basically, let's say that the first part of the narrative doesn't require you to travel through all of that area that I was swathing out before. it only requires you to travel through a very small area. Like let's say you're leaving a castle or something. It would show the castle and the surrounding areas, and that's the only space you'd be able to move through, at least at first. The roads wouldn't lead out anywhere, or the roads would be blocked in some way. And you'd take care of whatever narrative responsibilities you had before another section would open up, and that would be added to your overall B map, but it'd be comprised of these smaller C subsections. And so, for characters who travel around a lot, there might be multiple C subsections that they can move through. And for characters who move around less, maybe your whole story takes place in one larger C subsection. Um, D are our cities, so the smaller kind of points of interest, like a town or something. Cody's done a good job of representing that here. When you go into a town, you'll see it from overhead. Orthographic is the word, I think. If Cody's got it here.
That's what I've been using.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I've been using.
Cool. So in this orthographic view, you can see the town from a top-down perspective. And for towns that are pretty important, we're going to do this. But for towns that are very important or very large, this section might be a castle, where you can click the castle and it takes you down into a stylized perspective, a sort of side view, where you can interact with the little houses and things. It's not as though you're moving throughout this map, but if this house is interactable, when you move your mouse across it, it'll light up and you can click it and then interact with whatever quest point or character or merchant lives there. And so our larger towns will have multiple sort of stylized perspective subsections of the larger orthographic view. And our smaller towns might just have a stylized perspective and no larger orthographic view because the town doesn't need one. And even smaller towns might not even have either of those, just a small list of options of things that are available there, which might not be many. Maybe a little hut or a little tiny little village of houses wouldn't have any real interaction at all. And then E, of course, following that is any sort of sub-side scene. If we find a merchant or something inside of a house, then if we wanted to represent that merchant for the player and give him a sort of UI to buy items from, E would represent that kind of sub-scene. And maybe character portraits will be talking to each other in quest subscenes. So that's how we think we're choosing to represent the map. Did anyone have anything they wanted to add to that or questions they wanted to ask? I know you weren't here for this, for when we were talking about this last night, David. Go ahead.
So the C sections mean, oh, that's weird to say. The C portions mean that the classes can only stay in their own portion. They can't go into another portion. Like, remember we were discussing that maybe side quests are areas that more than one class can visit.
Right.
So would that be impossible in this system?
To answer your question for that, I'd like to say that the areas in which the characters travel through, if they're of the same race, you might come across the same C area in multiple different quest lines. You might travel through.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, so it's just the area that we highlight for that class. It's not necessarily restricted borders that only that area can occupy.
It is both. So let's say I'm exploring around, right? And Cody's done a really good job of making this map style test thing. If you go to the folder, environments, and then you go to map style test 001, you'll see pretty cool concept art of Fairy Town. But the issue with the art on Fairy Town. Oh, hi, Dick Thrasing all day. Nice to have you in the chat. And the
Hello.
huge Poots here too. Hey guys. If you have any questions about what we're doing, if you want to add anything to the proceedings, any comments, etc., please. What's up? Not much. We're just going through how we're constructing maps for the stream. If anyone wants to know anything more about that, then that's basically what we'll be doing today. With us, we have our writer David, our concept artist Cody, and of course we're the stream regulars. Logan and I are the stream regulars. Here's our Skype call, so you can better sort us out. Logan's the sandwich, Cody's the cactus, David's the boots, and I'm the man behind the curtain.
Cactus sandwich.
So yeah, David, your question was how these sub areas would be represented and if you could leave them or not. So let's say I'm the Lost Rider and I have a really small town, like a really small area that I have access to. And it's like 3 towns connected to one another. We'll just pretend that these are all landlocked. The roads in between these, if they're just roads, if those are the only roads I can see, then I can only interact with these 3 places, no matter how much the map skews out in different directions, which is something we'll get to. What is this game going to be? Ooh. That's a rough question, Dick Thrasing all day. It's going to be a turn-based RPG for the computer, hopefully through Steam or available through Steam. We're trying to create a demo for it so we can put up a Kickstarter around June of this year. And so, since we're working on the demo right now, we're trying to come to a consensus on how to represent maps and what those mean for the narrative and what it means for combat as well. We figured that people might be interested in that process, so we're delivering it direct. David, I know you pinged. I'm just briefly trying to get through this before, so that I can answer any questions, or so I can answer the question that you posed. So basically, in that scenario where the Lost Rider just has 3 towns that he can move between, you wouldn't have these roads going up and to the right or anywhere else. You just have those. But let's say that one of these towns gets destroyed and it's important to him, and he wants to go take revenge on the orcs, and they're up here. That road would appear, and if you want to, you could take that road up to them. But it becomes a question of player agency at that point. Do you want to travel up into that zone, or would you rather stay? Okay. So if you had a question or a comment on that, then before we move on to the next part, feel free to ask or answer. Good. Okay. Cool. So the issue that we came into yesterday was that for something like this, if we're representing it to the player as just squares, and you go off in this direction or this direction or this direction, then you're going to be moving from square to square to square, and we have to represent a whole lot of these. Even if this place had like 7 towns on it, it would still be a lot of different places to represent. And not only that, but if I were traveling up this way, I wouldn't know what was there until I'd already traveled. So the solution that we came up with, working together, I think it was either Cody or Logan's idea initially, was that the map is sweet. Oh, thanks, Breadhead. That's Cody's doing. He's he's a really talented artist. We love having him on the team. If you want to see more of his work, we've got some concept art posted up on our Twitter, and of course his thanks. Yeah, of course he's in the Twitch chat as well. We'll take a quick look at something like this here. Where was I? Right. So the maps for the meeting. What Cody's showing us here with this image is if we look back at that maps 001 that we were just on, this would be sort of that representation of the barge town. And if I wanted to see where the different territories would take me, I could click and pull this frame, this window, kind of up and to the left, or up here, or up here, or up here, or down here, or down there. And I think it would be a little bit less than what Cody's representing here. Like, you wouldn't have quite so much extraneous that you couldn't recenter, but if you pull it up and to the right, you could see a little more this way into the next zone that you could enter, or a little more that way, or a little more that way, to see if there even is a zone. But the roads that connect will generally have a connecting zone. I hope that made sense.
I like that idea. It's kind of almost like you're peering around a corner to see what else is there.
Yes, yes.
kind of like, I guess if you think of it in a first-person game point of view,
Right.
you're kind
Yeah.
of just like nudging the border to see what's over there.
Right. Yeah, but you pull it up and it'll kind of stay there if you pull it up that way, and you could maybe have it recenter. I don't know. It would depend on if they're interactables up here. Because if I pull it and then they're interactables and I let go and it falls back here, then that's really annoying. But maybe the way we do it is you can pull it with the cursor and look where things are, and then if you want it to stay put, you could like right click it, or maybe you can just move up and to the right or to the with your up, down, left, right keys on your keyboard underneath the shift. It'll be something that we have to work out a little bit later, but that's sort of what I wanted, because then when we're looking at C zones, um, like you represented with Kentucky here, then this C zone over to here I can see a little bit into when I'm in this one, and kind of it'll almost foreshadow to the player the different directions they can head in. But as we discussed in that previous meeting, and if you guys are interested in that meeting, I think there's a VOD of it in our past broadcasts. It's the one where you can see the. You guys should make a new Call of Duty. Yeah. There's quite the market for those right now. It's the golden age, or perhaps the gilded age of first person shooters. But we actually have a whole lot of ideas for what we should do for our next game. Unfortunately, we're stuck in the reality of making this one. But perhaps fortunately, because we're actually having a lot of fun. Bloated age of FPS, yeah. I don't disagree with you there, the huge boot. And I can't help but say your name because it's just so beautiful. Mellifluous, even. Um, so that's what I was thinking for all of that. It's your writer, you fool. Oh, is it? Well, darn.
Yes, it is. That's him.
Well,
We've lost a fan.
We're bolstering our viewer count with two of our own. Pulling one over, hoodwinking, and whatnot. Oops. Okay. Breadhead, Irritable Giant. If you guys had a donation link, I would donate any day. Oh, that's incredibly kind, Irritable Giant. We're gonna try and get one of those up fairly soon. We're trying to.
That should be the next thing we do right after this.
Yeah, we're getting a
So
website.
we should focus on that.
So yeah, we'll put in some work to do that. But honestly, thanks, Breadhead. Breadhead says, same. I have a $1 check with your name on it for those watching the YouTube video later. I mean, you guys are too kind. Really, all we want to do is put out a stream for you guys to watch. And I mean, if you guys want to support us, we won't stop you. But
in fact, it's encouraged.
not directly. but really, we just love doing this. We love developing. We were hoping we could give back some information to the community if people want to learn a little bit more. Send food. Yeah. I do have a comment. I can't see the stream for some reason. Can you share screen with me? I can share screen, but it's gonna make my computer die. So.
Hey, how's it going, Ivanuk?
Fairly brief. Oh, Ivanuk's back. Hey. Yeah, just having you guys in the stream is the best. So thank you all for coming and joining us and hanging out for a little bit.
Makes us feel all warm and fuzzy inside.
It does. So here's the screen sharing thingling going on. Does anyone have anything they wanted to add so far?
I can go over some of the stuff, some of the pictures that I did today, if you want.
Sure. So the stuff in the meeting folder?
Yeah, I mean, you're doing a great job going over it, but if there's anything you want me to clarify, basically, is what I'm saying. Like the image of the United States is kind of an example of one way we could do it. It was kind of showing that, like, if Kentucky was a zone C, when the person clicks to go to that zone, however they do that, we don't actually have to draw or create all of Kentucky. We can just show whatever part we need out of that zone C.
I see. So you could kind of, well, this is adding an idea, but you could kind of fast travel from the overmap or see how the C zones are broken up on the overmap. So Notardi 7800. Hey, Carol Kazuski, thanks for joining us. We're not 1986 model. Redhead, you are getting a little toasty there, huh? Wish we had those specs, dude. I wish we had those specs. My laptop is not the optimal streaming tool. So, I mean, if anyone wants to donate, like, everything in their house, including their laptop,
Yeah, just give us your house.
yeah.
It's our house now. I mean, we've already decided to get out.
We have wanted a dev castle for a long time now. It's not really within our budget at the moment. I'm working on Stone Tablet 4. Um, but yeah, Cody, maybe we can have it so that this is represented on the big overmap. So something like when you have this pulled up in your inventory or to the left of your inventory when you're looking through it, if you wanted to go to zone C and you're in this zone, you could like click one of the small little towns and kind of fast travel there. It would show you moving along the map until you encountered something. I don't know. Maybe,
Sure.
oh no. Maybe we use that for the merchant thing we were considering. So instead of
That's a good idea.
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's a good idea.
Okay. Yes. So for everyone watching, we had an idea that we were going to use where when you go to certain towns, there will be these really cool merchants or trade guilds, basically corporations of this pre-Renaissance fantasy world, and some of them will be rather shady. Others will be down on their luck. Some will be very very rich or wealthy, and they'll have great items, or some will have worse items. But to you can choose to invest in their stores by purchasing items from them. And once you run into them once you visit the town for the first time, you can have them ship items to you. So if we are proposing that we do the map in this way, where there are C zones that are divided, if you're in one of these, it would be kind of annoying to have to travel all the way into this zone to talk to this merchant who you want to have ship things. So what you do is you go to your overmap, and there'd be little town nodes on the overmap. You click the town node that you want with the merchant you have in it, the one that you're supporting, and then you have him ship goods to you wherever you are. I think that would work quite nicely. If you want more info on that system, do we have a highlight of that up?
I'm pretty sure I don't even think we've actually talked about it in depth.
Okay. Well, darn. That's you guys add Tony Hawk Pro Skater to this game. You know, early in the dev process, we were thinking, why don't we make a Tony Hawk class? You know, he's still relevant.
Easter egg.
He could have like 1080 for all of his stats. Maybe it decreases like 1080 to 900 to 720, 540. Or maybe that's just how his damage works. And we were really rolling it over between each other. But then we started to think, no, you know, our classes should have more intact hairlines.
Ooh, that's rough.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, while receding hairlines make for better parts, I think that in general, what we want is to appeal to the youngest audience possible. We want to swoop the babes out from Call of Duty's grasp, its clutches, and insert them into our audience. And I don't think anyone from this generation has even played a Tony Hawk game. The new generation.
I would buy a game with a sword-wielding Tony Hawk.
You know, for the longest time, I've been thinking, Breadhead, that Madden with swords would be great.
The guys are just actually in armor.
Yeah.
They're just thrashing each other.
You throw the football, and if someone's coming at you too fast, take their legs out.
Exactly.
Their legs out.
Skate or die RPG.
Yeah. Skate or die. Yeah. I like the 8. That's good. You should work in marketing. He's the brother of Tony the Tiger, right? Yes, that's what I've heard. So, so now that we've sorted all of that out, that is the best idea ever, honestly. Yeah. Um, well, we appreciate that. David, did you want to add anything from the narrative side to this?
Uh, maybe. I just want to confirm some things.
Sure.
I think so. My understanding so far is like we have a limit area, like this. The C area is like our most, like important thing, kind of in a lot of ways, right? Because it depends on what they can see and all the stuff. And the way that you want to lead an ability to explore is that there's this slightly drag and click kind of thing going on where the borders of their vision is a bit rubbery and they can extend the area of the somewhat.
Mm-hmm. Well, basically that if you have this frame and that's your context for whatever world, whatever part of the world you're in, that you can sort of move it up and to the left, and it would take up like this proportion of the screen now. And you can move it left, right, bottom left, top right, etc. In all the different directions that that zone could go to show you the abutting zones.
Okay, so it's like moving a magnifying glass on a map or something.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, okay.
kind of like that.
Right.
Of course, this
But without
go ahead.
yeah, without the magnifying aspect.
Right. Just like in the frame of the magnifying glass. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, it would be like that, and then you guys should release 10% of the game, and then charge the rest as DLC like Destiny. You know, we were thinking about that model for income as well, and we realized that instead of doing that, what we should do is set up a Twitch channel and pretend like we're developing a game, and then people will offer us donations, and then we don't actually release anything at all.
It's easier than tricking people on Kickstarter.
I don't know. It's pretty easy.
You want our players to also be your friends. Yeah, actually, you know, as as funny as that is, I think it's true. Like you look at your player base as the people who would be playing on the couch with you, if you were playing co-op one night. You know? Person 396. Welcome to the chat.
The Twitch starter switcheroo.
Redhead, 10 points for Gryffindor, or whichever house you're a part of.
Bread and door. Bread and butter.
Bread and door. Yeah, he might be a Hufflepuff. That's not an insult, by the way. You're a great finder. I mean, everyone says so. You found us, by the way. You know, so.
That's a treasure trove of finding right there.
Yeah. So what was your next question, David?
So what are we questioning here today? Oh, I guess I have a few questions, but maybe there's things Cody was already going to explain. I guess I want to know more about what the E layer is like and what scenes are like and things like that.
Cody, do you have anything prepared for that? I have answers if you do.
Yeah, I can at least go over the D zones 001 image. Kind of, I think it might explain some of the like E layers, at least somewhat. But no, it doesn't.
It's on your Warren map. You have a representation of E.
Right. So, well, I imagine that E layers could be, they could be like a kind of like a dungeon map, or they could be inside of somebody's house, or they could be a scene, like an image of like a throne room or whatnot. I would imagine that E would take a couple of different responsibilities. As far as how they would work, I would think that they would actually not necessarily have to be the bottom layer of the zoom. They're just, story specific points of interest. Like you could be maybe on the regional, like the zone map, and then have something that you can click on that could take you directly to one of the like scenes or like inside a building or whatnot.
I sort of picture it like in Fire Emblem, in a way, where you have, and I've got it up on my screen if you guys want to see the
Actually,
conversations taking place like that.
I'd like to take a quick second to answer Redhead.
Sure.
This game is actually going to be PvP.
Right. There's gonna be we're balancing around PvP. We also it's on our wish list. We like to have it so that it's drop in, drop out co-op with your friends if possible, and so that the items from single player carry over into multiplayer. And we'll see how much we can do with that. Of course, it'll be funding dependent. But, yeah, so um, that's that should be in the FAQ, I think.
Kirby, I think the Fire Emblem examples are a really good a way to represent like what I see in my head as far as like what like so like Fire Emblem, The Awakening. I think that's the one that has most of the images up right now. They have the conversational pieces like what's on the screen, and then they also have the when you're in your barracks and people are walking around, like talking to each other. And I see those both as kind of like those are both E level scenes.
Yeah, this is what I'm thinking about. This kind of thing, where you've got Lissa talking to Frederick, and here's like the background scene behind them.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too.
Okay. Yeah, that's.
So they're not.
Go ahead.
They're not necessarily the bottom level of how far you can zoom. They're just a different type of scene, like screen that you will be able to access. And they would probably be some of the most important scenes because any of the story will probably be explained through that.
Right. And I agree with Cody there. It's like the C zone of the map is very important because it's what you're moving through. It's how merchants will find you. It's how you'll interact and where enemies will pop up on your map. But the E level is going to be what actually comprises the majority of the area. And you might even have E level scenes for towns that don't have a background at all. Like they might not even have a D level, and they might have a conversation between you and an NPC that would occur in that specific location.